Can I check this?
Really great, just some really fundamental things that banks need to learn. The hardest thing here is not necessarily, from my perspective, that you need to understand that or get it. There's a bit of, okay, what do we do now? So apart from employ an Ideo or another agency of some type,
that's clearly the answer.
That's it? Okay.
But without the last bit.
Right, okay. What else do banks need to do to prepare themselves to think this way and adopt these types of activities? What do you find?
You mean the final activities or the long tail itself?
The four things at the end. So if you guys go, well, if we want to start trying this tomorrow, where do we start?
Where do you start? I mean, I think you start by complimenting, there's loads of people in the audience that can point to that can also answer this question. You start by complimenting on your survey work with getting out into people's lives, right? The number one compliment is get some visceral experience over some of the issues that you're struggling with, right? So look at a business problem that you have and try to say, what's the human behavior that I want to change in order to make this business problem better? And then go observe that behavior in real life. Go find a person and don't just ask them questions about money, but ask them questions about money, but also everything else in their life. Or if you think there's an analogous service in another industry, don't just go to a trend report and say, there is an analogous service in another industry, right? Go try it out. Download it. These apps are cheap, right? Yeah. Try it out and find out how you think about it. Nothing can replace visceral lived experience in terms of understanding and insight and definitely selling others on an idea.
Any questions before Bruce here, John? And then Naz after that.
You know, James, I mean, here you go through this cycle of innovation and you tell us how to do it. And I'm just curious, and I'm wondering, what happens to the half-baked, quarter-baked cookie of innovation that you propose an innovation with a customer, and it's half-baked, and the customer or a bank decides to do a piece of a piece. So then there's a slice left from bank one, and then you go through 3 years, and you've got about 12 banks internationally who've come to Ideo. Is there a storage, an attic, where you've got all these sort of half-baked cookies that can come back together in a open architecture or an open design?
So you're asking me if Ideo will take all the ideas that technically belong to our clients and bring them together and give them free to you?
I'm asking whether the license to half-baked cookies means that people who want to use them for other things.
I think any designer will say that on some level it's disappointing when you come up with a great idea and it sits and it sort of lives. It doesn't take flight. I definitely think you can't, if you're doing design, you're doing innovation, you can't just put all your hope at one idea. You have to believe that ideas and inspiration live in an ecosystem within an organization, and you want to create deliverables, create things, create ways for your idea to live and see more people, even if it doesn't come to life in that particular way. So you have to believe that half-baked ideas don't just die, they begin to affect other things. I would say also ways to put those ideas out is what I'm doing right now. Right, so I wouldn't share ideas from certainly any of our clients with any of you, but it's not about the idea; it's about the execution, right? And so, definitely a lot of stuff that we're talking about here is directions that we've given to lots of different clients, and I am, CBA is a great example, but I'm waiting for more of you to absolutely run with this stuff and have a little bit of what's the word, gumption.
Yes.
Hi, I believe in everything you said, but I'm going to be devil's advocate for a second. Given that in certain markets, maybe globally, but let's talk about the UK in particular, you have 4 banks that control 85% of banking. In the past 4 years, there are 64 million bank accounts in the UK. Only 59,000 people changed bank account.
Yeah.
That's less than 0.1%. Where is the incentive for banks to invest in innovation when they have the market tapped up?
Well, I think it comes from people like you guys. And so I think, what?
That's why I'm not a banker.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I think, I guess, if we went back to that slide that was all about, certainly, so from what I gather, account mobility is going to come relatively soon. We'll see what impact that happens. If account mobility in banking has the same impact that account mobility had in mobile telephony, and we're looking for a really interesting party in the next couple of years as new competition and there's a real drive for innovation, for loyalty. But who knows what's going to happen with that? I think what's happening now is that, so when you look at a typical bank's book, you actually see that there are loads and loads and loads of dormant or underused accounts, right? And so what's happening there is that people are doing other things with their money and putting them in other places that banks may not even recognize are competitive, right? So not taking a loan from the bank, taking a loan from my brother-in-law, not really getting insurance, just saving a pot of money in the corner in case I need it for a rainy day, or even using a bunch of prepaid cards. Like, yeah, so Starbucks is, the Starbucks card is a prepaid card that's a bucket all about treating myself. The bank would probably should love to have a product that was designed perfectly for treating yourself, but Starbucks has created one, and I think most banks probably don't even realize that that is happening, right? That lots of other, and I'm really excited about all this innovation from startups like yours, because those things are slowly sort of chipping away at where people put their money, and at some point, a lot of these banks, if there really is no sort of churn like you're describing, at some point, a lot of banks will realize, wow, people are doing lots of other things with their money and putting them in places that aren't even called banks. And so that's what I hope will happen.
Can I put it to you that potentially, due to regulation, capital adequacy, etc., that banks potentially may exit the market for consumers and small business banking? They become the pipes that I think Chris Skinner talked about earlier, where you have, like British Gas, they supply the plumbing and people put services on top, and that doesn't necessarily mean the innovation is going to come from the banks, right?
I mean, if they just exit, then I think we have trouble, because they need to not exit, they need to become smart pipes. They need to use everything they know and everything they've built and spent a lot of money on to make all those services, including ones like yours, work that much more efficiently, that much more intelligently, and become sort of homes for new innovation rather than just, that business is crap, I'm getting out. Because if that happened, then who would rebuild that stuff?
James will be on the panel in a little while, so please thank James from Ideo.